Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese 6. grammatische Stunde, the 6th grammar lesson, ist Adjektivendungen, adjective endings. Before wir anfangen, please remember to like this video, bitte klickt Gefällt mir, and to subscribe to my channel, so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who've already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank. In German, there are 4 cases, which are grammatical markings, which are used in various different situations. When a case changes, there are changes in the grammar of the language. Cases affect adjectives and nouns. Like in other European languages like French and Spanish, adjectives in German change depending on the noun they're used with. There's an added layer of challenge though, as German has 4 cases, which also affect adjective endings. Firstly, it's important to understand when a German adjective needs an ending. In German, the sentence, "The man is stupid," would be "Der Mann ist doof." If I looked up the word stupid in a dictionary, it would say doof, A-D-J, adj, or similar, to show me that it's an adjective. As you can see from the example, doof does not have any adjective endings. That's because we only get adjective endings if the adjective comes immediately before the thing or the noun. For example, the stupid man. In German, now the word stupid comes before the word man, it would need an ending. Have a look at these sentences with the adjective highlighted in yellow and think about whether they would or would not need an adjective ending. The car is new. This would require no ending, as new does not come before the word car, which it's describing. The old car, this would need an ending because old comes before car. Now think about this example, which has 2 adjectives. My new red car. Both new and red would need adjective endings, as both come before the noun, car, that they are describing. The final example with 2 adjectives, my old car is broken. The adjective old would need an adjective ending, as it's immediately before the noun it's describing, car, but broken would not need an adjective ending. Hopefully, this will make sense. But if not, I will discuss some more examples at the end of this video to demonstrate how these sentences would be formed in German. The best way to learn adjective endings is by learning the article tables. The full article table is discussed in lesson 5, the genitive case, which you can recap by clicking here. So, let's learn some adjective endings. Los geht's! Teil 1. Definite articles. The definite article table is der, die, das, die, den, die, das, die, dem, der, dem, den, with an N on the noun if it can take one, des, with an S or ES on the noun, der, des, plus S or ES, der. And as you can see, I've outlined a shape on this grid. This shape goes down, across to, and up to. And I call this shape the frying pan. And this shape is really important for learning the adjective endings. For the definite article table, the gender of a noun is obvious if you know the case. For example, if I make up a word, Ferguson, you can tell which gender it is by the article. If, in the nominative case, I said der Ferguson, you would know that it's masculine. If it were das Ferguson, you would know that it was neuter. For this reason, adjective endings are quite easy when used with a definite article. Inside the frying pan, we would have an E ending on all adjectives. Here are some examples using the adjective alt, meaning old. Der alte Mann, the old man. Die alte Frau, the old woman. Das alte Auto, the old car. Outside the frying pan, that means nominative plural, accusative masculine and plural, and the whole of the dative and genitive cases, the adjective endings would be en. For example, die alten Autos, the old cars. Ich sehe den alten Mann. I see the old man. As the old man is the direct object in this sentence, it's now accusative. If you're unsure of what I mean by the direct object, please go back and watch the accusative case video in this series by clicking here. Some more examples to finish off. Nominative. Der alte Mann ist hier. The old man is here. Die glückliche Frau ist 20 Jahre alt. The happy woman is 20 years old. Das rote Auto ist sehr schnell. The red car is very fast. Die jungen Brüder sind nett. The young brothers are nice. For the accusative case, ich mag den neuen Computer. I like the new computer. Ich gehe in die neue Schule. I am going into the new school. We use the accusative case here because there is movement. Ich habe das teure Geschenk für das kleine Kind. I have the expensive present for the small child. Siehst du die grünen Bäume? Do you see the green trees? Examples in the dative. Ich spreche mit dem alten Mann. I am speaking with the old man. Ich gehe zu der neuen Schule. I am going to the new school. This can also be zur neuen Schule. Ich bin in dem roten Auto. I am in the red car. There's dative case used here because there's no movement. I'm already in there. And this can also be im roten Auto. And ich helfe den alten Leuten. I am helping the old people. Remember that helfen is a verb that takes the dative case, and that plural nouns like people, Leute, will have an extra N in the dative case. Finally, we have some genitive examples. Das Auto des alten Mannes. The car of the old man, or the old man's car. Die Vorteile der neuen Schule. The advantages of the new school. Ich kaufe das blaue Auto statt des roten Autos. I am buying the blue car, accusative, instead of the red car, genitive. Ich habe Geld wegen der netten Leute. I have money because of the nice people. So, that's a brief summary of the adjective endings with the definite article or the word the. What you can see here is that if you've used the word the adjective ending will either be e or en. So if all else fails, have a guess and someone will likely correct you. It's a good idea to pause the video now to recap the adjective endings with the definite articles before moving on to part 2 in this lesson, adjective endings with indefinite articles, a or an, which includes personal pronouns like my, your, his, her, etc. Teil 2. Indefinite articles. The indefinite article table is ein, eine, ein, keine. Einen, eine, ein, keine. Einem, einer, einem, keinen, plus an N on the noun. Eines, plus an S or an ES on the noun. Einer, eines, plus S or ES, and keiner. As you can see, I've outlined a shape on the grid, and the shape goes down, across to, and up to, and this shape is called the frying pan. For the indefinite article table, the gender of a noun is not always obvious, even if you know what case it's in. For example, if I make up a word, Ferguson, in this situation you can't tell which gender it is by the article. For example, If the noun is written as ein Ferguson, we can see from our table that this could either be nominative masculine, or nominative neuter, or accusative neuter. And without knowing, it's a guess as to what gender this unknown noun is. That's why adjective endings with indefinite articles change, to reflect the gender. Starting with outside the frying pan this time, the adjective endings are once again en. For example, wegen meines doofen Bruders. Because of my stupid brother. This is genitive because of wegen, and masculine because of Bruder. So doof, stupid, gets an en ending. Mit meinen neuen Freunden. With my new friends. This is dative because of mit, and therefore it's outside the frying pan. So neu, meaning new, gets an en ending, as does the plural noun Freunde. Inside the frying pan, things are marginally more complicated. As the adjective endings now need to indicate gender, we need to make them look as similar to der, die, and das as we can. So the nominative masculine ending is er, so it looks like der. The nominative and accusative feminine endings are like die, and the nominative and accusative neuter endings are es, like das. For example, ein cooler Computer, a cool computer. Eine nette Frau, a nice woman. Ein neues Auto, a new car. Remember that plural is outside the frying pan, so the phrase my new cars would be meine neuen Autos, or I have no younger siblings would be ich habe keine jüngeren Geschwister. Some more examples. Nominative. Ich bin ein junger Mann. I am a young man. Sie ist meine jüngere Schwester. She is my younger sister. Das ist ein cooles Haus. That is a cool house. Sie sind meine neuen Freunde. They are my new friends. For the accusative case, examples are ich möchte einen neuen Computer. I would like a new computer. Es kostet 5.000 Euro für eine neue Küche. It costs 5,000 euros for a new kitchen. Ich lese ein interessantes Buch. I am reading an interesting book. Ich habe ein teures Geschenk für meine jüngeren Geschwister. I have an expensive gift for my younger siblings. Some dative examples. Ich spreche mit meinem alten Vater. I am speaking with my old father. Ich bin in einer guten Beziehung. I am in a good relationship. There's dative, as there's no movement into a relationship, you are already there. Ich fahre zu einem neuen Restaurant. I am driving to a new restaurant. Ich gratuliere meinen alten Freunden. I am congratulating my old friends. Remembering that gratulieren is a verb which triggers the dative case, and that Freunde gets an N because it's a dative plural. Finally, some genitive examples. Ich schlafe während eines langweiligen Filmes. I sleep during a boring film. Notice that film now has the es as its genitive. Ich bin wegen meiner doofen Schwester verärgert. I am annoyed because of my stupid sister. Literally, I am, because of my stupid sister, annoyed. Ich bin außerhalb eines alten Gebäudes. I am outside an old building. See that Gebäude has an S as its genitive. And die Farbe meiner neuen Schuhe ist rot. The colour of my new shoes is red. So that's a brief summary of the adjective endings with the indefinite articles or the word a, as well as the possessive pronouns like my, your, his, her, etc. These are slightly more difficult to learn, but it's useful to know that outside the frying pan, the endings are all still en. It's a good idea to pause the video now to recap the adjective endings with the indefinite articles before moving on to part 3 in this lesson. Adjective endings with no article or after numbers. Teil 3. No articles and numbers. Although we're not talking about any articles, the table we have seen previously is useful. That's because the adjective endings in this table almost perfectly replicate the definite articles we've seen before. So instead of der, die, das and die, we have the adjective endings er, e, es and e. Instead of den, die, das and die, we have en, es and e. Instead of dem, der, dem, den, we have em, em and en with an n on the noun. And the only change is instead of des, der, we now have en plus s or es on the noun, en plus s or es, and er. This does not happen very often in all genders, but it is quite common with plural because these endings happen after numbers and therefore before plural nouns. For example, ich habe blaue Augen. I have blue eyes. Some more examples. Nominative, roter Wein ist lecker. Red wine is tasty. Frische Luft ist gut für die Gesundheit. Fresh air is good for the health. Sauberes Wasser ist nötig. Clean water is necessary. Coole Autos interessieren mich. Cool cars interest me. In the accusative, ich trinke leckeren Wein. I am drinking tasty wine. Ich kaufe italienische Limonade. I am buying Italian lemonade. Ich mag deutsches Bier. I like German beer. Ich habe 2 jüngere Schwestern. I have 2 younger sisters. In the dative, mit gutem Rat verbessere ich mein Deutsch. With good advice, I improve my German. Ich trinke Kaffee mit leckerer Sahne. I am drinking coffee with tasty cream. Ich trinke Apfelsaft mit köstlichem Mineralwasser. I am drinking apple juice with delicious sparkling water. This drink is very popular in Germany and is called an Apfelschorle. Ich spreche mit 2 netten Leuten. I am speaking with 2 nice people. And finally, some genitive examples. Der Geschmack deutschen Weines. The taste of German wine. Die Vorteile frischer Luft. The advantages of fresh air. Der Geschmack deutschen Bieres. The taste of German beer. And wegen schlechter Einflüsse. Because of bad influences. It's worth noting that these genitive examples feel a little forced, and other than after genitive prepositions like wegen, Germans would probably use the word von and the dative instead. So, that's a brief summary of the adjective endings with no articles or after numbers. It was very difficult for me to come up with examples that didn't include wine or beer for any gender except plural here, which shows you how rarely these things come up. It's a good idea to pause the video now to recap the adjective endings with no article or after numbers. These adjective endings will also apply after the word many, viele, which will obviously be used with plural nouns. For example, ich habe viele gute Freunde. I have lots of, or I have many good friends. Habe ich etwas vergessen? Have I forgotten something? If you are a native German speaker and think I've forgotten something important about adjective endings, please let me know in the comments. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Also, please remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can also follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson and on Twitter under @HerrFerguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.